Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
Good morning, the Rise Up Morning Show.
Today is Thursday, January 2nd. It's the last show of the week, but usually we're live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Happy New Year, everybody. This is the very second show of 2025. I don't know about you, Alex, but I thought we really couldn't have started it better than our conversation last night with Lindsay. That was fantastic.
That was great. That was really good.
Way to go. She really killed it.
I texted her last night thanking her for the time, and she replied, "Damn it, I was hoping to send this before you sent this." And I said, "Well, I win, as is tradition." No one thanks guests faster than me.
No one thanks guests faster than Alex. He's got the quickest draw on gratitude. You got to be fast if you want to beat him.
They're barely signed off before I've already written them a novel. I just said bye. Now I'm saying bye to you again.
You just said bye. You had mentioned before we started recording, Alex, that we've got some green in the markets, and you were talking about some updates for folks that we can share with them. And also, I'm excited to hear more about your guide to personal finance. I think talking about crypto that way is going to be really helpful, or maybe not so much talking about crypto, but talking about personal finance and then sharing crypto tools that people can use, whether they're curious or skeptical about it, to get started.
For sure. And before we get into any of that, I have to answer Lasso in the TikTok chat. You know, I am really, truly, and deeply sorry, but Elon actually did not call me before he changed his PFP and his name on Twitter.
And what's more, we talked about it on Tuesday.
Yeah, we did actually.
We were early. You might have been late.
But still, you know, unfortunately, I couldn't give you the ultimate heads up because Elon didn't tell me. I'm not on the short list, unfortunately.
No, and you know, I should have known too. Somebody commented that there was a token that day. And are you surprised, Alex, that when Elon did a thing, a token got spawned?
Am I surprised that he real quick showed up and manipulated a market and then really quickly changed his shit back? Not even a little bit.
And I also want to address Derek Calvert, who says, "Woohoo! Made it for a live for the first time." Derek,
yeah.
We are bullish on you and bullish on the show. So thank you so much for being here. Somebody else mentioned we're at a new peak. Are we expecting this to happen multiple times? Like we're going to have an all-time high or a local high, and then it's going to go down, then it's going to go up. Does that usually happen, Alex? And what is in fact going on in the market right now? While we pretend to be Will Watson.
I know. Yeah, I was just going to say we are quickly approaching the end of Will's holiday travels. He'll be back next week. And
insert dolphin sound here.
We'll get all of that dolphin sounded data from Will. But in the meantime, for sure, nothing for me has changed. This is the upswing on CHOP. Do I think that from here we're going to reset all of the all-time highs? No. Could it happen? Sure, I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong about that one. But I'm still pretty aggressive when it comes to profit taking on stuff like this, just because I don't trust that it's going to last. You know, nothing massively fundamental has changed. However, we do have that fresh year mentality. We've got the, start off, we've got a bunch of people coming back in and rebuying assets now because prices were down. Lots of tax loss harvesting happened at the end of the year. You've got fresh buyers coming in at the beginning of the year now because we're into 2025. Everything you do now only counts for taxes that we file in 2026 in the US. So in that sense, it makes perfect sense to me that we would be seeing green today. Starting yesterday, we definitely had some. There's, of course, some of those niches that have done well this week anyway. Virtuals as a thing is up this week. We talked about that a little bit. And then there's a couple others. It's nice to see Sol back over 200, which totally checks out. Again, it's been down in the 170s, 180s, 190s for the last little bit.
It's been down in the 170s?
You
remember, I feel like just last week we were talking about, you were saying, I just can't wait for it to dip below 200 so I can buy some. And I was like checking the chart. I was thinking maybe I'll buy some too. And I didn't set an alert or anything, but
it did. And I did. It did. And I did for sure.
Oh,
but
very good.
Yeah, let's see. I'll fact check myself here.
Fact check yourself, brother.
I know.
If Will was here, Go ahead. Go ahead.
Flash down to the high 170s on the 20th of December. It was 176, 177, kind of chopping around in that area. And you bet your ass I added some.
Nice job. Well done. I would have done the same, and I might still do the same as long as we're like around 200. I just don't think it's a bad time. I don't think it's a bad time to buy.
Up 10% today. Sitting at 208 and change.
I want to come back to a question we got in the audience about why should I take profit on XRP instead of letting it just go and like replace that token with any token. But first, can I pretend to be Will Watson and tell you a couple of the things that you might want to watch out for in the economy this week?
100%.
Initial jobless claims, which Will often talks about, are coming today. This is the number of individuals who filed for unemployment benefits for the first time in the previous week. It's going to give us a snapshot of our labor market's current state. They're going to have the Richmond Fed president is giving a speech. I don't know if that's going to be earth-shattering, but you know, whenever anybody from the Fed speaks, it's not Jerome Powell. Could be worth listening to. And I would say right now is the time you could expect to observe more bullish action, because this is the time when the so-called Santa Claus rally is, if it's happening, it's in full effect. There are a lot of investors online speculating right now that there is a rising of stocks in the last 5 trading days. And in the first couple of sessions this year, it'll probably be a green day today as people continue to, you know, say bye-bye to Santa Claus and his sleigh.
Yep. And I mean, this is, you know, the couple things to watch out for mentally, spiritually, whatever, as we get into this. If it does continue up, there's going to be a rash of fresh FOMO that this is like this. Yeah. Oh, okay, we're all back on now. So listen, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, if you were terrified, stressed, and over leveraged and underwater for the past how many weeks, and now there's like green coming back, please don't start buying again a bunch of stuff. Please don't. Like this is it was listening to a great interview on Diary of a CEO the other day.
Okay.
And there was Evan, I'm not sure. I'm assuming you're familiar with that channel.
I have heard of it. I have never heard it.
You got to do yourself a favor, dude. You have to. He's such a.
I see him on TikTok all the time, and you know, I enjoy his general like voice and questioning.
No, it's good. He's got great conversations. You'd be appreciative. He posted a compilation of his like most rewatched moments from finance related conversations over the year, just a couple days ago. It's a really good compilation. The channel I'm talking about, if you're just jumping in, is Diary of a CEO. He's on YouTube. Tons of good interviews. Yeah. And one of the first guest that he was quoting there or revisiting there was just making the point, like, listen, traders get wrecked. That's most people suck at trading. Trading is how most people lose money. Investing is how most people earn more money. But it's a long game. And if you are, you know, kind of like foaming at the mouth, stressed out about where markets are going, and now things are going up and you're questioning like jumping back in and starting to buy stuff again, I'm encouraging you to take a step back and reevaluate and just think about it, because that is not the mindset. That's not the frame that you want to be in, where when there is green in the market and we start to have double-digit percentages on the weeks again, that's not where you want to be sitting here going like, oh, okay, shit, it's time to buy. Like, no, time to buy was before. If you're trying to do the swing trading thing, you know, you missed out on it. You know, now the risk is gone up with the prices by a considerable amount. You need to be aggressive with profit taking. Nothing at all says that this is definitely the end of any bearish moments. It could easily chop back down again. You'll probably get your opportunity. It's very safe to say that prices could go down again. If you buy something now, plan on the price going lower than you just paid. And if you sell something now, plan on the price going higher than you just paid. And that is the nature of getting hosed at trying to be a day trader. And that is why I don't do it, because I just really don't like throwing my money away, especially when I have long-term conviction in something. You know, when prices are red and bleeding and everyone's like, it's all over forever, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to add a little bit more.
That's a
and
great
then when people are freaking out because prices went up again, I'm like sitting pretty and happy, and it's like, okay, maybe I'll take a profit, maybe I won't.
So Cosmic said it in the chat. I like to buy and let time do the heavy lifting. That's exactly what Alex is talking about. And somebody said earlier, I'm trying to practice taking profits. I sold when it went up 20% recently, but I feel like this might have been in our Discord, actually. I think Paul has been talking about this a lot. Common questions are, when do I take profits? How much do I sell? And Alex, you've simplified it a lot as saying, when it's a green day, if I notice that I'm up a lot on a position, and it seems like uncharacteristic for this moment in time, I might sell. And usually you don't sell your whole bag at one time. You're not taking everything out of the market, because what if it keeps going up, right? That's why.
I want exposure
Yeah.
to the assets I believe in all the time, and I want a bag of stable coins all the time for when the markets disagree with me.
Yeah.
And if you want a good test or a good rule of thumb for how to take profits, if you're looking at a number and you're like, I'd be really bummed if that wasn't there anymore, it's probably a good time to take a little bit off the table. That's a good indication that you are either one, over invested and you've put in more than you should have, and now would be a good time for you to de-risk, or two, that you've made enough profit to be worth paying yourself. And as soon as you accept that someone out there is going to make more money than you, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. And Scott, I see your question. I do want to honor it. We are going to talk about your case of, should I take profits on XRP? I think you said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you had been buying it since it was below $1. Can you confirm that for me? And I'd like to know from our friends in the chat, because I saw, Cosmic's in here. I know Travis was in here talking about bots and trading effectively that way. But everybody who has some perspective or who has held XRP, I'd like to know, have you taken profits on it? And Burdette, about 115. Okay, great. So you're up right now. If you haven't taken any profits, this might be a good time. Alex, can you fact check myself on what XRP's current price is?
Absolutely.
Like 2 something, yeah?
241.
241. So you're up almost exactly 2x and a little change. This would be time. Alex, what would you do? I would be interested in...
I would sell some.
In selling some, especially if you hadn't already, because I feel like there was a spike and now we're getting a little of this downward momentum while everybody, one, waits to see what the new administration is going to do. No real news has been released for XRP since the stablecoin, and we're waiting for proof in the pudding. Everyone is looking to see, okay, great, what are you going to do now? And every month they're releasing more tokens on the market, 1 billion at a time. So,
and exactly. And right now, like you said, nothing fundamental has happened for XRP. The reason that it went, and to be fair, it did a 4 or 5x in a
it went on a tear.
If beginning of November this year, it was still at 50 cents, and then by December 3rd, it was at 282. So it did a pretty good push, and most of that was based on the idea of a change of leadership at the SEC and a hopeful final end to the ridiculous barrage of litigation heading at Ripple from the SEC.
But also like the certainty of the election, the excitement about a crypto-friendly Congress, and the fact that as people were coming to the internet to learn about crypto, when you do a search, XRP's everywhere.
Certainly. Yeah, and so Scott added a little bit of further context. This is play money for me. Sell even if I don't need the money. So yeah, okay. That, I'll say for sure, changes the conversation. And this is why it's next to impossible to give any kind of advice or answers to questions like that, like here on TikTok as a talking head and as a creator. You have so many specific circumstances in your own personal financial situation that make it impossible for anyone to give you good advice, including, even if Evan and I were both licensed and registered financial advisors, we still couldn't do it.
Yeah, if you fly by in the comments and just say, simple question in 150 characters, anybody who thinks they can answer you with confidence, like, take that with a big spoonful of salt.
Yeah, bucket of salt. So no, for sure. If this is play money and you have a different goal and a long-term outlet, you certainly don't have to do anything.
No.
In my personal opinion, regardless of whether we're talking about XRP or any other cryptocurrency, if I'm up like 400% or 500% in 6 months, and I am, like long-term convicted in this kind of thing, I would probably take some off and de-risk, anticipating that, like, okay, it went on a huge rally. That's not sustainable, but could certainly continue. Is there a chance that it goes up another, couple 100%? Of course there's a chance, but nothing is guaranteed, and nobody knows where this stuff is going to end up. So in that sense, I mean, that's why I'm a fan of aggressively taking profits at this stage in the market. The year is uncertain.
And for Freddie in our comments who's talking about, I have a goal of holding 10,000 XRP tokens. Then for you, if it's somebody who's just got play money and just wants to see where it'll go, set it and forget it. That's totally fine. But if you don't have a lot of capital to deploy and you're looking to grow the amount of tokens you hold for an asset you have conviction in, dollar cost averaging is a great idea. Buying a little bit every day, all the time, no matter what the price is. Every opportunity is a good opportunity to buy something you believe in. If you have the capital, if it's not, if it's not like, your grocery money kind of thing, then I buy a little Bitcoin every single day. But also, if there is a big spike that seems like all of a sudden it's gotten really hot and nothing fundamental about the project has changed, and you are like, wow, this is way up, I should take some profits. Taking profits when you're at a peak can be a good opportunity to get some capital to deploy when the market cools down a little bit. And now, if you sold up here, then you buy back down here. Let's say you sold for the equivalent of $1,000, a couple of tokens when the XRP was at $3, and now it's down at 2 something, and you deploy that same $1,000. Your $1,000 up here bought less tokens. Down here, it's going to buy more tokens. Right now, from $3 to 240 something, you said we're at, you're going to buy many more tokens. And if you do that a couple more times, you don't have to do it every single day. You shouldn't be doing it when the market is up, down, up, down.
And you're not going to catch every single one of those.
And that's what Travis was saying, too, in the comments, like AI can do that. Humans probably can't do that. You won't catch all of them.
No,
it's like knives. But
yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for as many years as I've been doing this. And just like Bob was saying in the comments over here, when Bitcoin was just sitting, over 100,000, had stayed there, had been there. We're all sitting here saying like, this is weird, that we crossed that massive psychological milestone in Bitcoin's price of $100,000, and then nothing changed and we didn't correct, and nothing, and it was just up, like everything was up. At that point, I'm sitting here saying like, this is weird. Like it has to pull back. And I definitely took some off, but and hindsight's of course 2020.
Also, we have this question here. I've just lost it. That talks about the number of tokens. I think some people have a goal in mind to accumulate a certain number of tokens, but my experience, Alex, I don't know about you, is that most people are like actually investing to try and make a certain amount of money. I want to make $1 million to buy a house or something like that. I'm trying to retire with a certain amount of money. And I personally find that unless you're trying to use a cryptocurrency protocol, the number of tokens doesn't really matter so much as how the price per token changes over time. It doesn't matter if I have 1 Bitcoin or 0.0001 Bitcoin or how many I can buy at a time. Same for XRP or any token. It doesn't matter if I have 10,000 or 1. What matters if I'm investing to grow the amount of money I have is how much the price of each token has changed over time and how my average price that I have paid for that token versus the price when I sell it has changed over time. That's all that matters, is the percentage change in the price. If I had 10,000 tokens in November and the price went up, I wouldn't think I should sell 1,000 tokens. I would think, well, I should take the equivalent amount of capital that I invested out of the market, maybe some extra for profits and taxes, and then I would consider, letting it ride or buying back in on a dip or whatever. That's how I think about it. Is that how you think about it? In dollars, not number of tokens?
Yeah, generally. Although I don't necessarily think there's no one size fits all. I wouldn't say that there's a right or a wrong way to do it. You do what makes sense. But I wouldn't let myself get too attached to specific numbers. I would think very carefully about like what my actual goal is. Like Evan said, is this supposed to be a lower risk portfolio that is being built over the next X number of years towards retirement? Or is this meant to be, like someone else commented earlier, more of like a play money kind of a thing? This asset class is so volatile. I'm really only committing, like 2% of my, investable money into this kind of stuff. And I'm totally cool with taking way more risk and being, way more, here and there with this wallet, with this portfolio, whatever. That's totally fine too. It really just depends on what you want. And actually, that feels like a decent segue to bring up a
I think
couple of
so.
these statistics, Evan. Because
That's exactly where I was going to go. You read my mind, man.
Tell me why.
Tell me why, Alex, that personal finance is so mystified, and give me some of these numbers.
Man. So essentially, for context, anyone curious, I'm putting together just a video that kind of drives home the need to learn about this sort of stuff and to, think about what I'm doing with money and why I should learn about this, why I should care about this, why should I give a shit, and how DeFi is essentially like, if you wanted to summarize what is DeFi to someone who's never heard about it before, DeFi is the place and an industry where you get to behave like a bank. Banks use your money to make themselves billions of dollars every single year by doing a few very basic things: borrowing and lending, loans. They let other people borrow your money and they charge them a tremendous amount for it, and they keep all of that and they give you a fraction of a percent. I'm pretty sure my current savings account interest rate is 0.1% or 0.01%.
Big low.
0.01%. That's what it is. It's awful. And there's like kind of a baby step, where there's a high yield savings account. I've seen a few of those in traditional finance, but at its core, DeFi is the ability to let you treat your money the way that a bank treats your money. It just gives you access to the tools banks use to become gajillionaires. So there's a few things that, and I knew a few of these, but I didn't know all of them. And seeing them all written down is just kind of wild. So
okay,
some of you probably know all of these things, and maybe some of you will be hearing these for the first time. So whenever you're thinking about, like where you are financially and why you should learn this stuff, why you should pay attention, keep this in mind. Nearly 60% of people in the United States cannot cover a $1,000 emergency with any kind of savings, and 40% cannot cover $400 of unexpected expenses without selling something or borrowing money. 25% of Americans have absolutely no retirement savings whatsoever.
Wow, 1 in 4 no retirement savings.
Yeah. The average amount of retirement saved for people aged 55 to 64 is 120 grand, which, if you have a 4% withdrawal rate, allows you about $4,800 annually. So, not really
enough.
much. Certainly not enough to really do much of anything on. If anyone's curious basically about where this data comes from, just let me know. I have sources for all of them, just not reading it all.
Oh, so yeah, you've compiled a couple of different sources, and this is going to go,
yes.
I imagine, in a companion guide that you will release. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Average American household has over $100,000 in debt, including mortgages, student loans, and credit cards combined. 45% of U.S. adults carry credit card debt month to month, paying an average interest rate of 20%. This was one of the things that really hit me the hardest, because I confess one of the things I had not considered was how much money we're losing to interest in our traditional side. So think about it this way. Whenever you think to yourself, I've only made 100% on this crypto asset, I'm not taking profit because some dipshit on TikTok made 5x. Think about the fact that if you are carrying debt elsewhere, you're losing 20% a month. So by trying to trade, if you're not covering at least 20% of loss every single month, you're still losing money. And the odds of you doing that are pretty high. So when you add all of this stuff up, when you put all of this stuff next to each other and keep it in perspective, especially if you're carrying credit card debt, like just, I don't know, most people carrying a month-to-month debt paying 20% or more is egregious. 66% of Americans cannot answer 3 out of 5 basic literacy questions. There was a pretty big FINRA study that was done, and most people got most of the questions wrong.
And did you happen to have the questions used in the study on hand?
I don't yet. I just had the line.
Okay.
24% of millennials demonstrate a basic understanding of financial literacy, and they still hold an average personal debt of $28,000. In answer to Alex Anthony's question, no, I don't think he will. I also don't think even if he wanted to,
What is Alex Anthony's question for people who are watching this in the future and have no idea what you're talking about?
That the Don is going to cap credit card interest at 10%. The second all you really need to know about that is the second he said that, everyone lost their mind. That's going to be super contentious. And you know what's really funny? Is an aggressively anti-capitalist like policy idea. I'm not opposed to it, for the record. I think it's a great idea. However, you're effectively capping how much money credit card companies are allowed to make, which is not really very capitalist. And so it's really funny to hear that suggestion coming out of that camp. Just, funny cognitive dissonance right there.
You want to know what else is really funny? I'm so sorry. I'm going to derail you just to say, did you see that Kill Tony episode that Will showed me where, I don't remember his name, was impersonating Joe Biden and the other one was doing Donald Trump? It was the hardest I've laughed at the idea of Donald Trump or Joe Biden together in a room in a minute. It was brilliant satirical comedy, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, gay, straight, black, white. If you speak English and you understand who those people are, it's worth a watch. Continue. I
have seen other things like that, and they are.
Dude, it was so good. It was,
you have to laugh or you would cry.
You have to laugh or you'd cry. That's absolutely right.
Roughly a third of Americans have zero investments of any kind, including stocks, bonds, or any kind of retirement account. The average annual return of the S&P 500 over the last 30 years is about 10%, and yet still only a tiny, tiny fraction of people take advantage of compounding growth. This is one of those things that like people in basic finance have been screaming into the void for so long.
Can you imagine how tired they must be?
Oh, exhausted. I'm exhausted.
We're this tired.
I just got here.
Right. No wonder they're all bald.
Yeah, for real. But listen, like if you have something budgeted that costs you, however many dollars, $50 a month, however much you're paying in something that is not enriching your life. I saw a really great, also in that Diary of a CEO episode. He was basically like talking about compounding interest. This was Alex Hormozy, who, take him or leave him. He's very intense. However, he does drop some good pearls of wisdom. And he was always thinking about like little things that he would be tempted to buy that he didn't need, but he wanted. He would rate like how much he wanted them. Because again, you need to live your life, and there's literally no point in never enjoying anything or spending any money on anything that brings you any sort of joy or enjoyment at any point in your life, and then saving, and then getting hit by a bus. Sure. Live your life. But he would use this to at least sort of recalibrate how much he wanted something by imagining what that amount would do in the S&P for the next 25 years, however long he had until he wanted to be retired and done whatever. It's like, how much money would that be? Is it really worth, $300,000 in 20 years for me to buy this thing that I don't really care about, but I just kind of like in passing would like. And I think that's a great way to sort of like reassess, because I'm a very impulsive spender. I see something and I'm like, yeah. And I have to constantly keep that in check, or I'd make all sorts of terrible financial decisions. And that's
I'm going to start doing that. That's brilliant.
And yeah, I mean, so, over a third of Americans have zero exposure to any of that kind of stuff. And yet average return is 10%, saving $5 a day. So this is one that I know is a little bit more controversial. I'm generally not a fan of the Dave Ramsey, like, you are in crippling debt because you paid for coffee.
You bought a latte.
Yeah, exactly. Tons of people are struggling for a whole bunch of different stuff. They're not frivolously spending any money, but wage growth is stagnant, all that sort of stuff. I totally get it. I'm just using this as perspective. But just know that I'm not a big Dave Ramsey fan. Although I do say, paying off bad debt should be your first priority.
Yeah.
$5 a day can grow to over $100,000 in 20 years if invested at that 7% annual rate. And a great way to look at something like the S&P is really just to keep in mind, you want to be conservative. 7% is safe. And plus it's sort of like an adjustment for inflation. If it returns at 10 or 11% on average every year, but inflation is, at reported 2%, but probably a little bit higher, then, 7 is a little bit safer amount. You can calculate at 7%. keep it more conservative. So at that point, this is kind of like what Alex is talking about. Like, is that $20 thing that I absolutely don't need? That's like I'm not even hungry. Like, do I really need that snack right now? Or do I have food that I just cooked last night at home that I could totally eat in an hour if I just wait? That's how I think about it. That's how I personally stop myself from spending $10 here and there that I don't need to. People who automate their savings are twice as likely to build an emergency fund within a year. So automation is key. Not having to remember these little things is great. Yeah. And there's all sorts of automation tools on different financial platforms. Toss in, however, and pick whatever you want. Keep it low. $25 a month, $100 a month, whatever makes sense for you in your current finances. And my only goal, resolution, whatever you want for this year, is just to get way more financially literate than I am, and really double down on learning, understanding, and being able to explain all of that kind of stuff better than I've ever done.
I think you're on track to a noble mission, man.
It seems worth it. Anyway, we just got a couple more, and then we'll kick it back out. Someone asks, "Am I talking to myself?" Yeah, it's a talk show. I'm talking to all of you, beautiful people.
Hey, check out those cool glasses from Doug. Thanks, man. Happy New Year, brother.
It always does make me giggle just a little bit when someone shows up and we're surprised that we're talking, and it's like,
yeah, welcome.
It's a talk show. Welcome to the talk show where we talk.
Tomorrow, hand puppets. Yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow, meditation and deep eye contact.
And no talking.
No talking.
Wait for that episode. Okay, you've got a couple more though. Give them. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I think they're fascinating stats.
I got 3 more for you. And
3 more. Okay.
This one is the big one. 73% of Americans would say that finance and personal finances are their biggest source of stress. I know that's been true for me in most years. If that's not motivating, and so there's a 73% chance that every single person watching this, that you, as you're listening to me yap about this right now, that you are stressed about money in some capacity. I think that's one of the reasons people get so screwed in crypto, because it's a new industry. It's very volatile. It's an asset class like nothing we've ever seen before. And unfortunately, because of the upside potential and the fact that luck has happened, people show up when they feel like it's their last chance or their last hope to get back on track. And always what ends up happening is that if you enter crypto desperate, you're going to leave disappointed and beaten up. It is not a get rich quick scheme. And that is always how it's sold by terrible teachers and bad content creators. It is sold to you as this is your last chance to get in and really make something. Turn that $1,000 into $1 million. You have no retirement. This is what you need to do. It couldn't be more wrong. And that's really what contributes to the rest of these stats that I'm reading off here. So 73% of people say that finances are their single biggest source of stress. Financial stress increases the likelihood of anxiety and depression by 50% or more. And that's up dramatically in the last 10 years. And only 30% of households maintain any kind of monthly budget. And yet budgeting is correlated with an average savings increase of at least 20%. So just simply the act of sitting down and writing a household budget and taking account of you don't know if there are dollars leaving your house and you're not aware of where they're going, you are repeatedly shooting yourself in the foot. If you cannot tell me right now how much money you spend every month to run your house, you have a problem and you need to figure that out. You can't possibly know how much you can afford to invest in something as volatile as cryptocurrency if you do not know how much money your house is spending every month.
Very well said.
I don't even think I'm that great at this. And I think about it every month. I, compile, what are on this statement, that statement, this statement. I have, charge and credit cards that get paid off every single month. And I keep track of exactly how much that is and track exactly how much income came into the house this month, what's left over, what needs to be put into savings, what needs to go into investments, and then what needs to stay in the emergency fund. And even just that, I still could not tell you no, for sure I know specifically exactly how many dollars. are like going to streaming service subscriptions and like, how much is the cell phone bill again? And like all this stuff that's automated, just don't think about it. So
we're getting
32%,
a lot of comments on this, man.
No, it's so freaking important, and
people really resonate with that.
Hearing all
wish
of
it
these
was taught
things.
more.
I truly wish it was. There was a comment earlier that the greatest disservice is the fact that we have next to no financial literacy education, that this is not like a basic class that kids start in like, elementary school, just like basically understanding the importance of money and not just blowing it on V-Bucks or whatever, like,
yeah.
If people understood this, it would be a better situation than it is.
Well, and I'd be curious to know like how you guys are handling this, in your journey, helping a kid learn about how the world works. We've been talking about this with August. Our nephew, he's a young kid. He's 8 years old. And he's becoming really curious about money and about what things cost and about how adults get money and how much money is really worth. I get paid in cash a lot for my music gigs, and he'll see it's not uncommon for me to have, like, before I go to the bank, $100 bill sitting on my desk kind of thing. And he'll be like, wow, you're rich, or like if I've had a lot of gigs, I'll have, several $100s just like sitting there waiting to go to the bank. And he'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. This year it's on my to-do list to take him to the grocery store. He's really into Pokemon cards. Can't wait to take him to the grocery store with like $150 and say, okay, we're going grocery shopping and I want you to hold the money. And this is our list of stuff. And when we're done, you can use any money that's left over to buy Pokemon cards. Doesn't that sound great? And we're going to go through the store and he's going to, be handing me money. And he's going to be like, this cost, I just know it's going to blow his mind when at the end, we might have some money left over, but like $4 to buy Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? He's going to be like, eggs are that expensive,
I don't think that, it's necessarily something you have to do to like stress kids out about, how much stuff costs and whatever. But I think you're totally right. And I don't shy away from like, if there's a mention about wanting to buy X, Y, and Z or needing this, we talk a lot about the difference between need and want. And I buy you things you need. You can buy yourself things that you want, but you need to be aware of like what you're doing and how much you're actually spending. And it's happened multiple times where like something comes up like, oh, I really want this thing. It's like, yeah, well, would you like to know how much money you've spent in Fortnite in the past 12 months? Because you keep doing it at $10 a time, $20 a time. It's added up. Do you want to know how many hundreds of dollars it's been over the past how many years and how much you would have now?
Yeah.
And that's always a painful conversation. How much money does it cost to run this household every single month? And that's without spending frivolously on dumb stuff that nobody needs. All that sort of stuff. Like it's super important. I don't think it doesn't need to be presented as a stressful thing.
No, and I think because people are so stressed about it or have a lot of shame about it, they don't talk about it. And I think, a lot of people who are financial literacy experts say that kind of shame around money and inability to talk about it, it keeps us poor. And I'm inclined to agree.
No, it does. It does. As much as I'm not a fan, like I don't like, people use the stay poor tagline to mean all sorts of things, and usually to bully people into doing irresponsible things with their money, which is hilarious that's usually how that phrase is used. But no, I mean, what truly contributes to that 100% is not understanding. I mean, and it's not easy. Tracking all of your personal finances and keeping track of every dollar in and every dollar out is not easy. And you don't have to be perfect, but like this, figure says 30% maintain any kind of monthly budget. That's even just like being aware that you have like roughly this much left at the end of every month, or roughly this much over that you're not saving. And like what is there something you can axe that would make a difference?
Yeah.
Alex, I'm a big fan of suffering now to not suffer later if I'm in a position where like I can accommodate something.
Somebody in the chat mentioned Rocket Money, which is a great tool if people are looking to start budgeting. And I'm excited to know if you have more now or if more are forthcoming. But Rocket Money is one such tool. Bob mentioned Stash gives free stocks every month. Moo gives you free stocks when you sign up. Acorns, that Robert Croak is always talking about, makes it easy for you to like round up to the next dollar.
That's how I started.
Yeah.
For the record, like I was late to the investing in whatever games in 2015, 2014 or something, whatever year I started trying and paying attention, the first thing that made a big difference for me was rounding in Acorns, just connecting my debit card to Acorns. And it was like, it ended up being a few bucks a day. And it really made it. I think that was my last point, actually, Evan, was one of the things I see in crypto way more often than anywhere else is this like bullying of people who don't have a ton to invest, so there's one of the things I know that contributes to the fact that, what was the number? 25% of Americans have no retirement savings.
Yeah.
What was the figure for zero investment exposure? I can't, it's somewhere.
It was big.
Anyway, it's a big one. 33% have zero investments of any kind, including stocks, bonds, or retirement accounts of any type. So one of the things that contributes to that, for sure, is the idea that, you can only afford $5 a week. And I'm not being facetious at all. Literally, can you do $5 a week? Do it. It takes little bits to turn into big bits. Little bits turn into big bits. If you want proof of how much little bits can turn into big bits, just play around with a compounding interest calculator and toss in some numbers and some interest rates. Stick with something like 7% annually. And do $20 a month of contributions, $1 a day. You smoke? How much would it be if, instead of buying the pack of cigarettes, Evan, you put it into something else? Don't come for me. You buy the energy drink every morning? How much would it be? And just play around. Like, that's one thing that I do agree with Dave Ramsey on, when you're trying to be extreme about something, is like little bits turn into big bits if you give it time. And so if you are able to kill the idea that you have to do this right now, and if you can't get to 1 million by the end of this year, that you're wasting your time or some dumb shit like that, or that you need $1 million to get started, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. That's a huge disservice. Cannot be overstated.
So more video content is forthcoming on this. We can expect a guide on this sometime soon, and resources on the Rise Up Morning Show, like the ones that you and our friends in the audience have shared. Nick Grinberg said one more that I want to highlight. He just got a paid premium $35 annual Quicken Simplify plan that imports bank statements, adds tags, provides plans for saving, and tracks net worth, runs reports, etc. So there are totally tools out there. We're going to keep you abreast of them. There are lots of other great places. Alex, can you drop, before we pivot, one or two, or before we answer some follow-up questions, one or two of the sources you've gone to find this information? Because I imagine it's places like Investopedia or something that will have links to good tools.
Yes. I will put this whole list in the Discord with the sources next to it. But to name a few, PwC, Vanguard, Experian, NerdWallet, FINRA, Gallup. Again, NerdWallet has a lot of really great calculators you can use too to figure some of this kind of stuff out. Northwest Mutual, Debt.com, the Federal Reserve itself. I think that's all of them.
And the Discord, if you're not there, is discord.gg/riseup. Discord is a totally free app. Our server is totally free to join. We've got lots of people there who are learners at all levels of experience. It's a much better place to ask us a question than sending us a DM on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook. And it's a great way to have a conversation with lots of people who are knowledgeable or are learning about this stuff, not just us. We would love to see you there. And I've got a pinned tutorial on my TikTok profile that kind of shows you the step-by-step process of joining a Discord if you've never done it before. And if you need help, just reach out. We'd be happy to do it. I wanted to highlight 2 or 3 comments that have some good follow-up questions, but first a joke.
Sweet.
I think it's not maybe a joke, but I read it and it made me laugh. Farah said, as you were sharing these stats, I just spent all of my cat Tommy's life savings on the vet, so he is starting again from scratch.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you meant that was a joke, but I hope he's scratching hard. We had where did it go? Your mom had a lot of good thoughts there. Farah said, LOL, it wasn't a joke. I'm sorry, Farah. I thought starting from scratch was a pun. I am sorry. I love that your cat has a savings account.
And bearish on how much vets cost.
Yeah, and
I'm with you.
I'm sorry, Alex. I
It's a
I
lot.
did have some good follow-up questions, but my chat just reset, so I seem to have lost them. If I missed your follow-up question, if you did have a follow-up, please know that we will definitely address it in the Discord. But
Yep.
feel free to post it here again too. We'd be happy to do it, man. I got to get better at my budget. I really do. I have budgeted over the years, but I have had a hard time consistently accounting for all of my money in different places. I've used Mint to kind of track stuff. I've used spreadsheets, and I've had middling success. But it's something I would like to, especially this year, get totally under control. Just like you've said, is one of your goals. Those stats are staggering. 20% increase in savings just for having a budget. Sign me up.
Any kind of a budget. And that's not to say that it has to be like full and comprehensive and cover 100% of everything. Literally just like the idea of sitting down and thinking about it will make a difference. Even if you don't get any further than being cognizant of the fact that you should make a budget. That's literally all it takes.
Cosmic's got a Starbucks problem. Someone else says, DC says, I've got a Red Bull Mountain Dew in Copenhagen problem. I occasionally have a cigarette problem, like Alex said. But you know, one thing that has helped me a little bit has been buying Bitcoin when I have the urge. Instead, it's like what Alex Hormozy does. How much would this $10 be worth if instead of buying cigarettes, I bought Bitcoin right now? The problem is the urge to smoke comes back all the time. You spend a lot of money on Bitcoin that way. And I have automated my Bitcoin buys now to like set it and forget it. I buy a little bit every single day. And because I want to take advantage of the compound interest. But we're working on it, Alex. We're working on it.
I'm going to bully you more this year.
That sounds like a great resolution.
resolutions.
We didn't talk about New Year's resolutions, and we don't have to really, but I'd be curious to know if anybody in the chat has a New Year's resolution.
Yeah, share. So while we do that, I do have, I realize there's just a couple more. So some of these track along with, everything that we were just saying.
A couple more what?
To say, just surprising statistics and figures.
Oh, okay.
I forgot there was a little block of a couple extras that I pulled out that because I had been looking for some very specific ones and I didn't mention them. So the big one being the number of people that live paycheck to paycheck, but it's actually more surprising than I thought. So 61% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and that actually includes 36% of that chunk are making more than $100,000 a year, and still paycheck to paycheck.
Wow. That's wild.
So 61% total, and of that, 36% of those people, so over a third, make six figures.
And I say that's wild because I don't make that much money, and I imagine if I did, lifestyle creep is a real thing. But I imagine that would definitely that would give me a lot of money to do a lot of investing damage with. My expenses are pretty low.
And that's one of those things. Like it's easy to sit and think that, but if you do not have a plan and you are, careless and not paying attention, increasing your income by a fat chunk still is not going to by itself fix the problem, because, that along with that comes the idea like, oh, now I can spend more guilt-free. And it just, it can beget more and more problems. The inverse of some of those other stats that we talked about, so 70% of people have no budget. 4 in 10 adults track any sort of their spending regularly. 50% of millennials have no investments of any kind. 60%. Okay, we did that one. Hold on. Here was a really interesting one. So this is from UBS, which I'll pull up here in a second, but 80% of women will at some point in their lives be solely responsible for their finances. And yet 23% report that they feel completely unconfident managing any sort of long-term financial planning.
That's interesting.
And I think it's definitely worth highlighting. Like there's a disparity in the assignment of like fiscal responsibility, and I think we need to like leave that sort of archaic tradition behind of like splitting responsibility to where, like, oh, this is not your job, you do not need to learn about the finances, or understand how to run all of this kind of stuff, because that lack of confidence will come back to bite you when you need it.
Yeah, it's something everybody can benefit from.
And one that I'm sure everyone can relate to. I know I certainly can. More than 50% of Americans have delayed a major financial decision, like buying a house, having children, all that sort of stuff, because of money concerns, which is sad.
Sad but true.
And then, that number of people who report that their finances have a direct impact on their mental health is increasing year over year. Currently estimated somewhere around 85% of people stressed about it. So wild. Credit card delinquencies have increased year over year. The amount of debt that we carry on credit cards increases every single year. The amount you're paying in interest increases every single year.
Well, that's just a product of fiat money, man. Everything related to
yeah.
fiat money is programmed to go up in the wrong direction. We have a lot of good New Year's resolutions coming in that have to do with personal finances. Sweet. Be better with my money.
Let's do it.
Pay off my debt. Expand finish another year of school. Can we take a second to talk about mortgage interest rates? Yeah, talk about things that are way up there.
Yep. That's a really good point to just bring up. Paying off debt is like such a good goal. It's definitely one of mine. But I will say, like, if you think that and then you get overwhelmed by it, I can tell you, and this is also supported by data, much of which I have just been reciting and reading here. Even just understanding fully what all of the debt is, how much all of it costs, and organizing it will help.
Yeah.
Like, take the first step. The first step is, writing down and understanding exactly how much debt's being carried and exactly which chunks carry which interest rate. That's it. And to Ansfar's point here.
I like to carry some debt, is what Ansfar said.
100%. I'm right there with you. It's just got to be managed. Like, you don't want to be carrying debt on a credit card that costs you 24% a month. That's not the kind of debt you want to be carrying.
No.
But carrying a mortgage at 3% or 5% or whatever, when you have investments yielding twice that, that's fair debt to carry. And there's just a big difference there.
Congratulations to Carol, whose goal in 2019 was to pay off credit cards and made it happen. I absolutely love that for you. And then paid them off every month. I see a lot more people who are talking about paying off houses, paying off debt, trying to get healthy. Those are good resolutions. Alex, the best resolution I heard was when I was at the New Year's Eve show. I was going around with the microphone asking people, what's your resolution? What's your resolution? And one lady who had a big headband on that said 2024, and then the 4 turned into a 5, like it was variable, so you could switch it. She said, to not take any more shit. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be my resolution too. I'm not going to take any more shit. Hey, we had an off-topic question, but I think it's quite on topic, related to crypto. If I hold my crypto in a self-custody wallet, do I still need to use an exchange to cash out? And if not, what are my options? The answer is yes. You got to do something to cash out. Most crypto wallets don't connect directly to your bank. Now, there are exceptions, but exchanges are the way to go. For the most part, you got to find somebody like Coinbase, like Kraken, like Robinhood, like Crypto.com that's going to connect to your bank and facilitate the withdrawal for you. I personally use Coinbase and like it. I know many people who have lots of problems with Coinbase, holding their money, freezing it for no good reason. And somebody else asked earlier about memos, and we can touch on that in a second. But the last thing I wanted to say before I kick it to you, Alex, is the other option that I think is underexplored if you really need it as cash and you don't want anybody to be involved or less people who are going to care who you are. An ATM could be the way to go. Cumbersome, expensive, potentially yes, but private, probably more than an exchange. Do you have any thoughts to add? Okay. What about this? Regarding the question of, and it's just flown from my mind. What did I say? Central exchanges?
Just now?
Yeah. ATMs. Yeah, but there was another question and I touched on it. I tagged it. Oh, memos. Alex, what do you think about this analogy? Sometimes when you send cryptocurrency, you're asked to include a memo in addition to the sender's address.
Every time.
Usually this is necessary when you are sending to an address on an exchange where they are the custodian. They hold your money for you, and they have like one account for the crypto, but they need the memo to know where to route it in their system to your account. And the way I would explain this is it's like if you live in an apartment building, your apartment building has an address. All the mail for the apartment building goes to that address. The apartment number is your personal mailbox at that apartment building. That's like the memo number. If you just write the address to my apartment, like the complex, the letter won't reach me. So you got to include the apartment number. You got to include the memo because you're sending that crypto to an exchange, which cares for it on my behalf and needs the memo to route it to me in their system. I hope that helps. And if you are sending to a wallet and using an interface that says a memo is required, but your destination says, nah, bro, you don't need a memo, you can just put 0 or 1 or 69 or 420 or whatever floats your boat that day. It's not required. Mike says, damn, Evan, that's a smooth analogy. Smooth like peanut butter and Michael Jordan's bald head, baby.
I wasn't emotionally prepared for that one.
What do you put in the memo is the follow-up question. Your particular exchange or wallet, if it requires a memo, is going to have step-by-step instructions for you, and you can get that on their platform. If you have a hard time or trouble finding it, that would be a great question to ask in the Discord. It's a specific string of numbers or letters. It's probably different depending on the exchange, depending on how they do things. The same way an apartment address might be different in different countries, for example. So you need to go to their website and find out. Just do a Google search on Coinbase.com for memo, or maybe for sending that particular currency, sending XRP memo, whatever. You should get a good answer there. Alex, do you have a recommendation for this question? What is the best way to track our portfolios if we've got cryptos on many different exchanges?
There are a number of portfolio trackers. I have used CoinGecko and their free portfolio tracker. It's manual for years, and I like that because I don't have to connect any wallets to it or connect any accounts to it. All I have to do is remember to take notes. But if you don't care or you don't want to do that, there are a bunch more that you can just like plug into accounts and give API access to track that stuff and manage it for you. There's a bunch of options. I like CoinGecko. I can run several at the same time, so I have like a watch list portfolio that I don't own anything in, that I'm just sort of like keeping an eye on, and I get like that little easy snapshot when I open it up, like, hey, what are these prices doing? Is something cratering? Might be a better opportunity. And then I have like my main holds where it shows all of everything that I'm actively holding. And then I actually have it split into 2 more where I have short-term and long-term. So the long-term pretty much never gets changed except for, little ads, which is essentially just my Bitcoin and Ethereum. And actually Solana is in the process of moving. I might move it over into that one. But yeah, I like CoinGecko's free tracker.
Their free tracker is good. CoinStats has one. Coinly has one. There's a new company that I have not personally tried called Merlin. It's like a subscription service. Hey, Happy New Year. That's our friend Eamon over there. They connect to your wallets, and the question came up, is it safe to connect to them? And yes, the answer is it is safe. This is like a read-only access. You are granting permission to connect an API. You might have to put in an API key. This does not give them any permission to spend your assets. Good question. And what do you think about this, Alex? I just got a little request from our friend Doug. For the first time in the new year, I'm going to bring him on up. Happy New Year, Doug. How are you, my friend?
Happy New Year, gentlemen. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Wow.
Thanks for coming
Doug, I
on.
haven't seen you since last year.
What a time.
I know, right? I know.
But
I can't wait to go in the office right down here. The horrible jokes. I can't wait.
I'm glad that
but
hopefully
no,
I could be your first this year, Doug.
No, it was good. I appreciate that. No, I just wanted to say Happy New Year to you guys. Appreciate you guys and Will. And I was gonna send you guys a note, but it's kind of right and it's long and like, oh, use ChatGPT. I'm like, no, that's fake. So nothing's better. So I figured I'd come here and just say, appreciate you guys. I wish I came across you like years ago. I just don't know how it didn't happen, but hey, we gotta start somewhere. So we're here.
We're here now.
Two quick things. I have a stat for you because you're on stats. And
Love
I
it.
also have a quick market kind of perspective. Let's see
Sweet.
the market perspective first. So
Okay.
I know everyone's like eager to jump into new positions because the last 24 hours have looked great. Like some of these alts have been moving a lot. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. However, it's just the first trading day in the year. The stock market has yet to open. We're 23 minutes from that. We don't know how markets are going to react. We're still recovering from a sell-off that was the second and third week in December. And I try to use the analogy of like a cargo ship or a cruise ship. You know, you can't just make a 180-degree turn quickly and head back the other direction. You need some time. And a lot of alts, especially like Ethereum, is probably the best benchmark. If you open an Ethereum chart and look for the lows on the 20th of December, which I think is like $3,100, I still believe we may revisit those. And any alt's the exact same for the most part. But the message of the Steam is there's no rush. I honestly think a good time to start considering new positions is next week, even it's still pretty early because we have a change in administration coming, which is also going to lead to some volatility, some uncertainty, trying to figure out what policies go into place, which don't. But there's time, and that's the best part about crypto being 24/7. You have time to find entries. There's no rush. If you woke up this morning, you see that XLM is pumped 50%. Do not chase tokens like that. No shade to XLM. I'm just saying in general, like just there's time to wait for things to pull back and find a good position. So we're in good shape. This is good news, but we still have time to kind of just chill and see where things pan out.
Very well said. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, and then the stat, which is today was threw me off. So tearing up my heart, in sync, 1997.
Tell me why.
Yeah, perfect. 10,000 days prior, we landed on the moon.
Oh,
Right, so that's 19. Was that
Okay.
July?
1969,
21st, 1960? Yeah, and so 10,000 days forward is today.
Wow.
So
Wow.
That's that. Yeah, that kind of.
that's a weird one.
Just-
You know, I actually
Yeah,
just saw a video I made Christina watch yesterday. It opened up with history makes no sense, and it was just like things that could have happened at the same time, and you know, just didn't because of proximity, but like theoretically could have. And dude, it was incredible. There was like you know, the distance we are from, you know, the Roman Empire to this and that, and like how many years actually only transpired between X, Y, and Z and whatever. And of course, you know, one of my favorites that really just kind of makes you laugh, or you would cry, or maybe you'll cry anyway, was just, you know, like Joe Biden was born closer to Abraham Lincoln's presidency than his own.
The perspective's crazy. It's wild.
Isn't it?
It's so wild.
Yeah. There was another one that I might misquote one. I might be mixing up two of these things, but one of them was literally like, you know, was it Abraham Lincoln could have sent a fax to a samurai during the Civil War or like something insane like that and requested aid. No, it was the Revolution. It was the American Revolution.
Where's this list? Can you find this list?
Yeah, I'd love this list also.
I would love this list.
It's an account. It's an account on TikTok. I'll put the video in the Discord general chat, and it's just upsetting to watch it. But one of them was definitely like some U.S. president during some major early American war could have requested aid from a Japanese samurai via fax. Had they all been plugged in?
Wow.
Someone, what was one? Okay.
America is 3
I'm gonna get
miles
it
from
wrong.
Russia is in the comments. That's one that I think about sometimes. The Bering
Yes,
Strait
the-
there is just a tiny little
the
thing.
the very tip of the Aleutian Islands. Yeah, there's all kinds of just earth-shattering, upsetting things to realize. But the fact that like history has all sorts of weird crossovers that really only didn't happen because of proximity is wild.
Well, Doug, before you run out of here, can you tell people who may not be familiar with your channel, with your shows, when you are live and how they can catch you, what they'll find if they do?
So you can follow me right now on TikTok. I'm on every morning, 7:30 Eastern, and I try to keep it under 45 minutes an hour. I've been pretty bad lately, but trying to just crank out at least the major charts. And also too, in my Twitter profile or my TikTok profile is my Twitter account. And yeah, I don't post as much as I used to, but you know, it's a good way to get in touch with me, and I'm here to help teach how to chart. And can I add one more thing, if you don't mind if I forget?
Go for it.
No,
show
you're fresh out of
recommendation.
things, Doug. Sorry.
All right, show recommendation, documentary, John Williams on Apple. Like
Okay.
The guy is like out of control. So I think he's doing a tour now, like his last like symphony tour.
Yeah.
And one of them is actually down in Nashville. And I'm going to try to make it there. I think it's in June, I think it is. But I
Wow.
want to catch him one more time, and just hearing like him and Spielberg talk about like Jaws, and like the Spielberg
Sweet.
had an idea for the sound that he wanted, and John's like, no, I got it. And like it's just their relationship and how all of that magic happened just blew me away. It's an amazing thing. So
Hey, Doug, really quick too. Is your TikTok name in allusion to Dougie Fresh?
yes, it is. That was
Okay.
my high school name.
Just
That's it,
checking.
yes.
Just checking. I saw you had changed it, and I was like, wait.
Yeah, trying to keep a little bit anonymity out there, and just in general and things kind of there, but just it's like Fresh is easier. It rolls off the tongue better, and I don't like my first name, so.
You don't? Well, should we call you Fresh
Yeah.
instead, Doug?
Yeah,
We've been
you guys can call
screwing
me
it.
Doug. Anyone call me Doug. Fresh is just it's a fresh take. It's not a Doug take. It's a fresh take. That's
Hey,
right.
man, that's okay. You succeeded. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We hope you have a fantastic day. And as we said earlier, but we'll say again and again, Happy New Year, man. It's good to see you and good
Same
to be
to
here
you.
with you, brother.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Take care for now. Hey, shout out to John Whalen in the comments who says he's New Jersey fresh. Shout out word to your mother who says she's got to run. Thanks, Linda, for being here. If you've got a question before we wrap it up for the week, we've got about 15 minutes left before we head out the door, ride our dogs and ponies into the sunrise. We'd love to hear from you, and we would love for you to jump in that Discord server. It's totally free. The only thing that's missing is you. It's an awesome place to ask your crypto questions where they won't disappear when the live stream ends. The link is on the screen, and if you have trouble finding it, just send us a comment. We'll be glad to help. Most important question, Alex. This is an important question indeed. It comes from the username period. How are you doing today? How are you really doing?
That's a big question.
I wish I had some music,
I,
like serious music, to be like,
I know something.
like a little
No,
piano, like a.
I'm excited. I sent some DMs off to some guests that I'm working on for this year. Already starting off strong. Going to the rescue as soon as I finish this. Can't complain. I'm not getting sued right now, and I only have 2 open threats. So and none of them are very serious.
Bullish.
So I'm really looking to up those numbers this year. I'm not pulling any punches, and I'm excited to hopefully help the hammer fall on influencers who launch meme token. You know what? Actually, Evan, speaking of that, because we've all heard me complain about that enough. Someone was asking the other day, like, about basically the idea, the reason that I hate these things so much is because there's a desire amongst audience to support creators that they love and enjoy.
Sure.
And like, how can we Web3ize that more than just buying a t-shirt? And there are so many ways. And honestly, the easiest, like as silly as it sounds, I know that, these things kind of got a little bit of a bad name because of how they worked, but really, truly, you can literally still use tokens legally and ethically to reward audiences and to give them something that they can collect and to, just generally enjoy and have fun and whatever. And I'm a big collector. If you're unaware, I have so many different types of collectibles.
Yeah.
This is literally what NFTs are for, is really what I'm getting at here. My punchline. Evan and I have used POAPs for years, totally free. Hey, show up, hang out. There's a link, mint this POAP. It doesn't cost you anything. You literally don't even have to pay for the gas unless you want to withdraw it and take it somewhere else. But POAP will give you a free wallet, and they'll mint it for free, and it's 100% free, and it's wild. What's that movie? Is it Game Night? Evan, I know you don't know. Game Night. Game Night, where they're what is his name? Someone help me out. The actors.
We don't even know what you're trying to say yet. You got to give us an example.
People who have seen the movie know what I'm talking about. The movie, I think the movie's called Game Night, and the opening scene, like with the main couple, Rachel McAdams, and who plays her husband? They're like walking into their house, Jason Bateman, and then their neighbor sees them walking in, and he's like, intuiting that they're planning a game night, and he's trying to get himself invited. And he just asks, they're carrying in a whole bunch of food and they're basically trying to say like, oh no, this is just for us, crazy special, whatever. And he asks them, because they're carrying like 2 huge bags of Frito-Lay tortilla chips, and they're like, oh yeah, it was like buy 2 or buy 1 get 2 or 3 free or something. And he just goes, how is that profitable for Frito-Lay? I can't fathom how this is profitable for POAP to, don't worry about it, Evan, to keep giving away all this stuff for free. But seriously, like, POAP is awesome. And we've done that for years. I don't know how many we've done, Evan. We'd have to like look it up.
We've done enough.
See, but I definitely want to do something like collect addresses that hold at least however many, and like those people should get free mugs.
Yes.
But, I mean,
go ahead.
Just that's really just it. Like, you can use, NFTs to mark collectibles that people can accumulate and keep and store and cherish and enjoy and trade. And you can even speculate on them if that's really what your heart wants to do. But you don't have to farm your audience for exit liquidity with a bunch of other people who understand the PvP nature of meme tokens.
No, but this is one of the reasons we need to have a good sit-down conversation with a lawyer who's our own lawyer again, is because I'm pretty confident that with some of the tools that are out there, with regulations as they currently stand, that there are some ways we can use tokens beyond that, and even tokens for people who want to support the show with their money. Like, we have memberships that people can buy, and those support the show, and they give you a lot of cool perks, but they're not on-chain. We've talked about ways to do on-chain memberships. They would probably be NFTs. But there are also probably ways we can incorporate fungible tokens too, even speculative fungible tokens, by doing like we were talking last night with Lindsay about a charity token. I think automating the receipt and distribution of funds with a smart contract would potentially abstract a lot of legality issues, and also a lot of like the PvP people dumping on each other issues. And might be meaningful, because a lot of people ask us how they can support with the token and suggest we do that. I think there can be many meaningful ways to do that, most of which haven't even been invented yet.
It's true.
I would like to play a part in telling that story.
I'm with you. Like, I'm with you. I hate the idea of using fungible tokens for it, because you're just creating this thing that will get taken out of context.
Alex, that's like saying you hate using the internet to talk to people. There are so many meaningful ways to use fungible tokens that you are not considering.
Okay.
And Alex,
listen
I will
to me.
absolutely die on this hill.
Don't you dare use Soundboard Alex to argue with me.
It's just stupid.
Oh, Evan, I swear to God.
Didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I confess, you caught me with that one. All I mean is that I am very hyper aware of the fact that if you just reward people for doing a thing with a token that has monetary implications, you create that ecosystem wherein you have pressure to sell and really none to buy that means anything. It's just a tough line to walk.
Yeah,
and it's
I'm not suggesting that at all.
Close in proximity to the thing that makes me deeply sad inside, that is horrendously illegal and amoral and unethical. With
I'm not suggesting that
and
at all.
Tokens.
I am suggesting.
I know you're not.
I'm suggesting a more liquid version of, it doesn't have to be an NFT to be collectible. It doesn't have to be liquid to be fungible. I just think there's so much potential to give people crypto native ways to support things they love, sometimes that involve the receipt of money, but don't have to be a scam.
And
I'm just saying proximity is close to the unethical, and it's tricky. There's just a lot of things to consider, and I feel like people are not really considering them.
No, I don't disagree with you at all. I think most people don't know them, but I think they exist. Alex,
Amsfar was asking if the rescue has socials.
That's right.
Yes. If you would like to see any of the links associated with the rescue, you can look in my bio. There's my alexpopovich.info link, my beacons page. And on my little link tree, beacons, whatever, in that list, at the bottom of the list, there are rescue links for the rescue's website and I think the Facebook group.
Jane says the best takeaway: budgeting increases savings by 20%. Rounding up in apps like Acorns. Auto buying can happen for Bitcoin every day. I use River.com. Crypto managers of what we hold, like CoinGecko, CoinLee, CoinTracker, CoinStats. Travis, I'd love to hear about your live. You said I'm putting a live NFT in people's hands. Are you using IYK or something like that to make it a phygital? When you say live, do you mean like a physical item? One of the things we're exploring for the new year is for our next round of merch for the show, we'd love to partner with IYK to do some chipped merchandise so people
Chipped
will
merch.
have tokens paired with their physical thing. So that when you, okay, yeah, Travis is talking about a physical item. Absolutely. This is something we think is great.
Oh yeah,
We love,
for sure.
if you don't know IYK and you're in the like consumer crypto space, or you have love to have ideas about it, they're a company that makes it possible to put an NFC chip into a physical item that links to a smart contract. It's not terribly hard to do yourself. If you want to launch a smart contract, you can just pair it with an NFC chip, the way you can pair a link with a QR code. But IYK is a nice done-for-you site that also now offers actual merchandise. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to order merchandise, but some places are better than others, you know. Travis says, I can hook it up for you. Hey, man. Heck yeah. Would love to see it. I would love to see the operation. Send me a link because it's always good to have other options. That'd be great. Would love to know more about the items you're doing. I think that's great. I love everybody who does chip stuff. I almost bought one of those shirts. I don't know, what was it, 3 years ago, Alex, when we were in Miami, and they had these. It was 9DCC had these like shirts you could buy for half an ETH that were some of the first collaborations with IYK, and I was like, man, I really wanted one. I'm so glad I didn't buy it.
I don't know why this just made this pop into my head, Evan, but I was scrolling through old crypto Twitter yesterday, and there was just like a funny, screenshot from years past. It was from 2010, and it was a screenshot of a StarCraft tournament and the winnings for 1st through 5th place. Did you see this?
No.
So it's 2010. All right. First prize was $500. Second prize was $300. Third prize was $150. And then 4th and 5th places were 25 and 10 Bitcoin.
Oh my God.
Fourth place was 25 Bitcoin. 5th place was 10 Bitcoin, and it was a few bucks or whatever.
Oh
whatever.
My God, that's
but
crazy.
I just saw that and just imagining.
Ooh, wee.
That's wild, dude.
Wild.
The greatest
How
participation
times have
trophies
changed.
ever given. Yeah. How the turns have tabled, indeed.
The turns have tabled, indeed.
The turns have very tabled. Okay.
Well, Evan,
I think it's that time to put this week to
it's
bed.
that time.
To do our final thoughts, and then to remind folks one last time that you can find us in the Discord. We're going to be back next week, same time, Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. Central Standard. Check out the content on our profiles. Check out the content at the Rise Up Morning Show. We got so many free resources there for you that we would love for you to learn from. If you're trying to figure out what the heck crypto is, why it might matter, and how you can get involved safely, confidently. These are our only profiles. If you join our Discord server, if you add us on TikTok, if you find us anywhere online, you will get people messaging you who are pretending to be us. And this happens with a lot of your favorite creators. We know about it. We're very sorry about it. We work actively to block them, to do things to mitigate their ability to reach out to you. But because we don't own these platforms, and we don't own our profiles, and we don't own our following relationship, our hands are kind of tied. You should know we will never, ever, 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 ever directly reach out to you first for any reason, especially not to offer you money to sell you something, or to lure you off the platform to our personal website or our WhatsApp or anything like that. That doesn't happen. So protect yourself, stay safe. Do you have a final thought, a question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, Alex? I would love to hear it.
Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us as always. I had a lot of fun today. I think going through these different statistics about finance, it's a good way to start us off this year in the right mentality, the right headspace to make good, responsible decisions. Just know someone is always going to win more money than you, and that doesn't mean that you're not also winning. So I'm excited to. I'm just very excited for this year. It's gonna be big. We've got a couple conferences for sure. Tons of guests already lined up, and I'm sure many more that we'll run into. Evan and I are working on putting together our own in-person event that I'm extremely excited about. That will be in or around Tybee Island at some point later this year. You guys will get every single detail as soon as it's known. Conferences, for sure, Consensus, regardless of what happens for my entire conference schedule all year, every year, I will be at Consensus this year. If you are in the area, it's in Austin, Texas. If you're, I think it's in Austin this year. I have to look. Fact check me on that one.
Fact check yourself, brother.
Wherever
Fact check yourself,
wherever Consensus is, I will be there. Consensus is my favorite conference. And then,
East Denver's on my list.
East Denver for sure. Yep. If you or a company that you work for or know would enjoy us attending a conference to help to lead an event or to run a workshop or a seminar or something like that, reach out, let us know.
You can do the outreach for us. We love warm introductions, and we will give you materials to talk about our show. We got a pitch deck, got a one pager, we got a products and services that you can share. So like, if you want to make a connection, please run with it. We would even give you a commission if it was a sponsorship. So
yes, 100%.
Make you some of that money.
Finder's fee for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I'm well met. This is a good show, and it's gonna be a good fucking year.
Really, really quick. Mike said, "Why is Consensus your favorite?" He's never heard anyone say that, and I am baffled because I know a lot of people who like Consensus a lot, mostly just because I feel like it attracts a lot of really serious people. Yeah.
Yeah, Consensus is my favorite and for context, I have been to a lot of conferences. So I say this with lots of context. Consensus is my favorite because the type of person that shows up, there is not one singular theme. You get everything from the major L1s that send full marketing teams and growth teams there. You can get people from the Polkadot Foundation, from Cardano. I met Charles Hoskinson at one of these things. I mean, the speakers list is huge. I saw, Tolly. I've seen Gavin Wood speak there. I've seen Brad Garlinghouse speak there. I've seen, Mike Novogratz, all huge names, big influential people give the speeches there. There's tons of them. It's a multi-day event. The satellite events are great. There's NFT stuff. There's gaming stuff. There's DeFi stuff. There's mining stuff. There's no like one specific niche that's represented. Like Bitcoin Miami is pretty much all mining and custody solutions. It's boring. You don't get to meet everyone there. Consensus is one of the few that I will go for the satellite events and also for the conference itself and the trade floor. The diversity in type of project that's there. I met POAP there. St. Jude's was there. Like, it's huge. I don't know. I've been to, a bunch of different conferences. I've never had an experience quite like Consensus, and I'll be there every year. That's the one conference I will pay 100% of the expenses to get myself there and stay there just to go, because it's that valuable.
Well said. East Denver, everything Alex said applies. It's my favorite.
Yep.
My final thought. Oh, go ahead.
Last one. In the Northeast, conference-wise, New York. New York's got a few. And actually, it sounds like Solana is hosting a mini conference this year in New York City. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but I'm already talking to some people about that one. NFT NYC, if they do it this year, is in New York City, usually in the summer. The other big, just quick aside, last point on conferences. Look in your area for conferences and mini events hosted by universities in your area that are blockchain themed. Pretty much every university has at least some sort of blockchain extracurricular club, and pretty much every single one of them hosts some sort of small event, jobs fair, whatever, at least yearly. And I think you'd be surprised to find how close one is to you. So if you're in the Midwest, in the Northeast, in the Pacific Northwest, whatever, look for colleges hosting events, because there's usually something.
And Eventbrite is a good website to go to. Even small gatherings, LinkedIn is also helpful. Can be like really. There's a blockchain enthusiast meetup here in Memphis, and I've gone several times. That's how I heard about Cougar DAO. And they have a rent collecting smart contract that escrows in real time for apartment buildings, for other stuff. I mean, like really innovative stuff for a DAO that's like a legal Wyoming LLC. I mean, it's cool. So you can meet a lot of neat people, and it's just so fun to talk about crypto in real life. And hey, we'll keep you posted on where we're going, because if you want to host us, or you want to take the responsibility of hosting like a mini meetup for the people who watch this show, who learn together with us, then we would love to give you the keys to the kingdom and say, great, go do it. And then it's a lot easier for us to show up at an event in your city where you know what happens, where you know a place to meet, and where you can make it all, beautiful and sweet for us. And then we can just, kind of show up and talk and buy everybody pizza. That's the way that we rise up. My final thought is quote from Naval Ravikant: Bitcoin is a tool for freeing humanity from oligarchs and tyrants dressed up as a get-rich-quick scheme. The list is long of people who have been naysayers about cryptocurrency, and it will grow longer. But my friends, remember, this is not a company. It's not a product. This is an idea. And it is an idea that is oriented towards giving everyday people like us the freedom to truly own their information, to live better lives. And we say, rise up. And I think that's pretty exciting. So we'll see you next week. Happy New Year, everybody. Stay safe, be well. And until next time, my friends.